Yo, what's cooking,
Yo,
ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm with my good friend Eniz Prošić, where we go way back. Was how many years is it now? I don't know, man. I'm losing count.
what? Since we first met, or like since we moved?
Wait, when we met? 2010? 2010? No,
No,
2009. 2009.
2009, 2009 in the summer,
Yeah,
summer 2009.
Zagreb, yeah, Zagreb.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So you need to tell me that I have to wait for like how long? Like 10, 12, 13 years, so you can invite me on your podcast. I mean, shit, man. Like I got my protein shake, I got a mug with Mickey Mouse, and I got my glasses here. If we talk about some serious stuff, I mean, what the fuck, man? How
Yeah, man.
long?
Well, podcast hasn't been running that long, so you have to give me a pass on that one.
Yeah, sure,
So
man.
for those that don't know, man, give us a little background about yourself. What are you into? What do you do? Where you from, etc.
Uh, so like Nick said, my name is Eniz, and I'm the reason he came up in Bosnia. um, I used to do a lot of hip hop back then. I mean, I used to shoot a lot of videos for my guys. I was hosting the biggest website, Bosnia hip hop website, and I was performing also. And what did we do? I did a lot.
Yeah, man. I remember when we met in Zagreb. Actually, that was the funniest thing actually, because with Pella, and
Yeah,
I I didn't know that was
shut
the
up.
first day that all three of us met each other.
That was ridiculous, man. But it clicked. Like,
Yeah. I assumed that you two like, had met each other before and everything. I mean, that's I guess the beauty of MySpace back then, connecting people
yeah, man, MySpace. MySpace was huge back then.
yeah,
So that's how I actually met Bella. But uh, uh, my brother met her first, and then we used to chat, blah blah blah. And she was like one day, why don't you come to Zagreb? And I was like, man, you know, I'm already on the border. I got like 1.5 hours to Zagreb. I was like, okay. And then when I met her, she was like, let's just pick up a good friend of mine from London. And then we met you at the bus
with
station
the bus.
somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Oh, man. But it was nice, man. It was great. And
no, it was
it turned out we two clicked, and we are like, it broke like, yes, friendship.
yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Like as you said, it was when you like were planning to do the production company in Sarajevo the next year and invited me. That's essentially what brought me to Bosnia for the first time. Let me ask you, how did you get into making music videos? What was your inspiration to start producing music videos?
Well, back in the days with my guys, uh, 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 we used to have a lot of rappers because there are always too much rappers, and producers also. Also, so we had really great producers back then. Probably one of the best on the Balkans. I mean, Ricky was really great, and Kibo was also one of them. El Cazel. We had really good. And what we didn't have is somebody who would make music videos.
Right.
And that was, my photography was always a passion, and I always liked to edit and see this thing from my point of view. So I just downloaded a trial version from Sony Vegas back then, and I went with Casey at some train station, and we made some shots with the phone, and I went back home. I just edited, and I showed to the guys, and they were like, "Oh, man, did you do this with phone?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So then we bought camera, and the rest is history. So I was like the main guy for that back then.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Actually, I think it's you who introduced me to Sony Vegas as well. Because I was
Really?
because I was only using Adobe Premiere.
I was using Adobe Premiere, but later, you know, when I developed. But like for the first few years, I was actually killing it.
Nah,
It's much. You know what the problem is? I haven't speak English for so long, so I feel like my English just went out the window. Because I speak German now every day, and it's totally weird, you know, totally weird to switch it. Because now, if I'm speaking something to English, some of the words that I can't remember, the first thing that comes up to my mind is German word, which is kind of weird because it should be like Bosnian.
yeah, but we were also in that similar situation when we were living together in Sarajevo when you started working for that German
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
I remember you
yeah.
came
Yeah,
home one day
that's sick.
and you said something, and I was like, "What? Say it again." And then you said it again, and I was like, "Okay, it definitely wasn't English, but it wasn't Bosnian either." So I was like, "Say it again," and then I was like, "Bro, you're speaking German."
I do remember that. I do remember that. I was in the kitchen and I was telling you something, to put the plates out, something like that. I don't know. I was making meal and you were like, what? And I said it again and you were like, excuse me. And I said it again. And you was like, you speaking German. And I was like, fuck, man. Shh. But that's what happened when you worked, for a German company and speak like 8 hours a day German. But anyway, yeah, Vegas was much easier to work because Adobe was a lot of complicated at the beginning. You know. Later, when you figure it out, uh, it's much better program.
Yeah, you know what? It's that's true, but you know what the thing? Well, I don't know. I found because for example, with making videos, I started on Adobe Premiere because of college. We had to use it at college,
Yeah,
and then for producing, I was started on Cubase because again I was at college and we had to use Cubase. But like most people were using FL Studio or Fruity Loops as it
the
was called
Fruity
then.
Loops. Yeah,
And then for videos, most people were using Vegas, and people are like, oh, those are simpler tools. But you know what the problem was for me? Because I started on Adobe Premiere and I started on Cubase. When I went to like Fruity Loops, I was like, what is this shit? Like I couldn't.
yeah. It was complicated, you know. Fruity Loops was also kind of weird to work with because I remember back then. Pricky used to work in Cubase also because he was everything what he made he played by himself.
Play, right, yeah.
So it was much easier to press record and then to play,
Yeah.
you know, instrument and it's just you can just fix them then and together. But Fruity Loops was too much complicated. I mean, everybody tried to make some beats back then, you know. So I also tried and it was like, not man, I don't have the set.
The actually in terms of the music, the day that I always remember, the most memorable video shoot for me, even to this day, was the day after we arrived in Sarajevo. Or I arrived, you already in Sarajevo, I arrived, and then we didn't have the apartment, so we stayed at, was it your cousin's place?
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's a great story. Yeah. We stayed at Igor's place. I remember we came in Sarajevo, and like I would never ever do it again. If we weren't that young, man, no fucking way. We had like I don't know, like 200 marks or something like that. It's just ridiculous amount. And I remember I used to call Igor and it was like, we just sleep over. And he was like, yeah, okay, come. And the greatest thing that happened to us because we were so positive, you know, we were like, tomorrow we're going to wake up and we're going to just buy some newspaper and we're going to find an apartment and we're just going to move in. And, that's how it was, right? We went to McDonald's. We were at McDonald's, right?
No. We were at some, because there was no McDonald's then.
Yeah, shit.
There was no
But
McDonald's then.
Yeah,
it was this cafe in this like
near to the Eniz building. Or
yeah.
What the yellow lies bound.
Yeah, in Malta.
Malta.
Yeah. I remember we were looking, going through the newspapers, and nobody was picking up. Good like 2 hours, nobody's picking up.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Then somebody picked up. It ended up being Amir, and
Oh, I was, like yesterday I was trying to think, I was trying to remember his name, but now, as you said, Amir, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you were speaking
Really
to
nice
him,
guy.
and he was saying, "Oh yeah, like how long are you guys gonna stay?" And you're like he said, I want somebody who's gonna stay for at least a year. And you were like,
And we had no idea.
Yeah. And then you're like, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay. And then Adnan just took the phone from him, and he was like, "Hey man, we got a guy from London, and he has £500 in his wallet right now."
And he picked us up, man.
I'm gonna come there.
That
now.
was the best thing.
Where are you?
And he did pick us, right?
Yeah, he picked us up. Yeah, he picked us
Yeah,
up.
he picked us up, man. We went to the apartment. He was like, "Yeah, this is the apartment, blah blah blah." And it was a really nice apartment, man.
Yeah. And then didn't we do the video shoot for BDZ the same day?
Same day, right? The same day I called the guys and I told them, we're gonna make you a video. You just, I don't know, each one of you need to give 100 marks or something like that. That was a hustle, man. That's pure hustle. So we found an apartment in one day, and we earned like 400 marks in one day, which is actually great because I don't know if people know this stuff, but 400 marks in Sarajevo is like half your month wage. Back then,
Yeah, exactly.
So the start was great. We were so blessed, man. And that's what I knew. Okay, this is so great because God didn't let us sleep on the street.
Yeah, man.
That was awesome.
The thing is, like, a lot of the things, like, I don't know how much we realized at the time, but a lot of the things we did laid the foundation for a lot of things that certain people in the scene are doing now. Like,
yeah, I mean that's obvious.
Like, so.
And we did even work, or better say, they worked with us.
Yeah.
Because we had talents, we had the tools, we had ideas, we had organization, we had everything. They just came. They saw it, they worked with us, and when we went back, they just continued the legacy, and they made it what they made it. It's great, actually. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it, because some people have said to me, like, how do you feel about, you set up, you put certain people in position and now they're bigger and all that. I'm like, for me, I don't look at that negatively.
Yeah.
Like, great. Like, it shows at least that, like, we had good ideas. You know what I mean? And the reality of the situation is, as well, to be fair, if we were in a better financial position at that time, it's a different story.
Yeah.
So,
but to be honest with you, I'm really glad they continue it, because we made the first video for August, and we gave him the first programs to work with on videos, and then he continued to developing himself as a video producer, and he did it great, man. Later he did like how many videos for Buba, Corelli, and Chala when they used to rap, and yeah, he went viral, man.
yeah,
I'm really glad for him, man.
And exactly, I think it's a beautiful thing to just like plant a seed.
It's just too bad that they didn't continue it to do with others. They didn't let him do bigger deals, bigger videos. Because I mean, when they got this money, like, why would you go down in Belgrade and give IDJ videos 20,000 euros or 30,000 euros? If it was me, I would most definitely invest in my cameras, the cameras I would buy it, because they were with me the whole time. You know? Actually, they made them what they are today. It's not just music; it's also everything that comes.
Yes, true.
Beats and Kibo did so many beats. Nothing happened. And the best songs, the million views, the first millions of views that they had on people's beats. And later, it was just gone. That's the only thing that's for me, you know. But I mean, they did what I did. I wish them the best. And yeah, I'm glad that they made it. It's better that they made it than someone else that I.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. Let me ask, what was your ultimate, when did you leave when you first left, how was when you go, Vienna first?
Yeah.
You were at university, I believe.
Yeah.
What was your ultimate reasoning at that moment? What made you decide, okay, I'm gonna leave?
I was sick and I was sick and tired of the system, because even you know what was the worst thing? Even when I was leaving Bosnia, I remember back then you used, I don't know how it is now, but back then you had to go to Bosnian university. You have to apply, and then when you applied to university in Bosnia, before the first semester, you had to take all your papers and apply in Vienna. So basically, if you wanted to study in Vienna, you already had to be taken by some universities in Bosnia.
Okay.
And I remember I went to Sarajevo, and I passed the exam for the university, and I just wanted to take all my papers and bring it to Vienna. And they were like, yeah, but you can only take it if you pay this and this amount of money for the scholar for the 2 semesters in Bosnia. I was like, I'm not even gonna study here. Why do I need to pay to study on this university for 2 semesters if I'm going like more? No, they didn't want to give me my papers back. And then I was like, I don't know, it was a lot of money back then. And I remember saying to myself, man, you know, even when I'm leaving this country, you are not allowed to leave before they take everything what you have. And I was so pissed off. I gave them money, and they didn't even give me the receipt. So I think that the dean just took this money in his pocket, and thank you very much. So I went to Vienna, and yeah, it's probably the best decision, unfortunately.
Did you complete your studies at Vienna University?
Yeah, I did. I did.
What were you studying?
I was studying public relationships.
Okay. So you got well, how many was that, 3 years?
It was 3 with 2 years option. And thanks to God, man, I met also a great guy in Vienna that helped me. I remember the first day when I was there. Again, the situation where I'm going to sleep. That was also ridiculous, because I had a money to pay for like 2-3 weeks for a motel till I applied to Vienna University, and till I settled my whole paperwork, visas, everything. And I remember last day I was walking out of my motel with my whole package, and the only thing what was left is for me to apply for a visa for the whole next year. And I went to the city office to apply for visa. I had no idea what should I do because I never did it before. And I saw a guy over there with a Serbian passport. And I was like, oh shit, this is my guy. So I went straight to him. And I was like, hey bro, can you help me? What the fuck, where should I go? And he was like, I have no fuck. I just got divorced from my wife and I also need to apply for a visa and I have no idea what should I do. He was like really young, he was like 25. I was like, and then I was like, well, at least I can speak German. Let's go and ask someone. So we went together, and I asked this person behind the desk, and she was like, oh, no problem, you have to go to the 12th floor, he needs to go to the 8th floor, and you need to pay, fill the papers, he needs to do the papers, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, man, give me your papers, because I'll fill it up for you. So I filled it up for him. We went up, and I first applied for his visa, and I told him good luck. And I went to the 12th floor where the students were. And like September, it was thousands of students there because everybody needs to apply. And I spent like 2 or 3 hours waiting. And after these 3 hours, so exhausted, I went to the bus station. And I wanted to go to the bus station, go back to the bus, because the university was starting like next month, 15th of October, I think. So I had 1 more month when we started. So I wanted to go back to Bosnia and spend some time over there. And I go downstairs and I see this guy waiting for something. I tell him, hey, man, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I'm waiting for you. Thank you for everything what you did for me. Let me buy a drink. I was like, man, I have 2 hours till my bus arrives, so what the fuck, let's go. And we were walking down the street to this coffee bar, and I'm, I with my baggage, I'm holding the whole time. He was like, someone who need a place to crash. So he was like, I have a big apartment, and I'm looking someone live with me, share the rent. And I was like, yeah, man, me. He was like, from now on, you live with me. So that's how it started. And I lived with Milos for like 6-7 years. And I helped him start a company, which is really, really great right now. He got married. I was his best man at the wedding. And just start from a really great friendship in Vienna. So I was really blessed always to meet a great person.
You know what's beautiful about that story? Because it leads into exactly what I was going to ask you next, which was, what is it like interacting with Balkan diaspora in Austria? And the thing is, for like what struck me is that you said when you first met Milos, you saw a Serbian guy, you saw a guy with a Serbian passport, and you're like, oh yeah, that's my guy, or that's our guy.
That's my guy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I found that like when I'm in countries where there's a significant Balkan diaspora, whether people are Croatian, Serbian, Macedonian, whatever, people are like, oh, that's my guy, or that's our guy, kind of thing. Whereas, I mean, would you agree that the dynamic is different inside inside the Balkans region itself?
Yeah, most definitely. But that's not the fault of people, that's the fault of politics that's growing up over there. Right. Like the biggest parties in Balkans are the nationalists.
Right.
You know, so how you gonna evolve to something else if you are bombed, being bombed every day? Those kinds of formation, ours and theirs and we and them, but it's just stupid. No, doesn't make no sense. It really doesn't make no sense.
So, would you say that um, one of the reasons, at least, why it's different, like within the Balkans itself, is like social pressures? Like, oh, if I'm friends with this person, people are gonna look at me differently, or is
No,
it?
no,
Or is
no,
it?
no,
No. What
no,
would you
no,
say?
no, no. The thing is, like, I mean, you know, you also lived in Sarajevo. In Sarajevo, you can meet Bosniaks and Croats and Serbs that identify themselves as Sarajevo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean what. But the thing is, if you live in Vienna, the system is, or any other European country like here in Germany or whatever, the system doesn't allow you to think like you think for Balkans, you know,
Right.
because the system is made that you can only progress if you are friendly with others. So if you are friendly with me, I will be friendly with you, and we can grow together. It doesn't matter where you're from, because the capitalism is much more bigger than nationalism. You know? And on our in ex-Balkan, ex-Yugoslavia countries is not really like. I mean, the politics made it really.
No, no, I 100% hear you. Like, I think the reason why I phrased the question in the way that I phrased it is I was thinking of somebody that I met in Sarajevo, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, and he was
Mhm.
telling me, where's he based? He's Bosnian but based in Sweden, and he was telling me his best friend best friend in Sweden is a Serb,
Yeah, my best friend.
and they're like they hang out together, this and that, but they usually go back to Bosnia around the same time for summer, and he was telling me that they don't hang out when they go back. When they
Why?
like,
Well, maybe they don't hang out because they spend the whole year hanging out together, and when they go back to Bosnia, everybody wants to be with someone that they don't hang out. Well, maybe that's why.
yeah, it could be that, but there was some other things that he mentioned, like he mentioned something about what did he say? I can't remember the exact
Or
word,
maybe,
but
well, Nick, maybe they also are getting influence from their relatives over
yeah,
there.
okay,
You know, because the relatives over there are being intoxicated every single day with the news about nationalism.
yeah, that's fair.
And even if they, I mean, if they live in some small areas, small cities, the more radical they are going to be. You know, if they are living in some bigger cities, then I don't really think that would be the case.
Yeah,
It's
that's
my
fair.
opinion. I don't know.
That's fair. I agree with that. You obviously you've been seeing the current tensions that have been
Yeah,
going on, rhetoric
of course.
from Dodik and whatnot. What are your thoughts on what's happening right now?
They're losing power. Tonic is losing power. He's, he, he doesn't get people don't trust him. You know, nobody cares more about shit that he's talking about, because 235 mark is the rent in Serbia. That's like a bit more of €100. How are you gonna live? You know, if you are independent or not independent, I don't care, man. You know, you can't live with that amount of money. And Dodik buys himself a great apartments, villas, and that millions. So nobody is buying that shit. And the result of these politics are now he lost Banja Luka. It was the major city
Okay,
in Republika Srpska because on the elections for the mayor of the city, his guy didn't won. So that's nobody wants to hear that politics anymore. I mean, how many thousands of people left the Bosnia?
right.
You know, like what are you doing? How is that a good politics? And I think that the whole situation right now is ridiculous. He should be ashamed of himself. I mean, if they brought a law, that forbids to
Or for like that kind of rhetoric, like for him not to say.
well, the rhetoric about genocide.
Right.
The law was about genocide.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to deny genocide. So what's the problem? What's the problem? Tell me, for example, you got a law for denying genocide over Jews in Germany. Do you know what would happen if someone was against that?
Yeah. No.
He would be gone, bro. He would be gone in 60 seconds. Because it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what kind of religion you are. You know, you shouldn't be, just in my opinion, you shouldn't be denying genocide like Srebrenica or Jasenovac or any other genocide that happened. It's just common sense. So if you now decide to leave the institution of the country that you are living in because of the law that you are not allowed to deny the genocide, I mean, really? That's the start of the whole problem right now. And it's not even a law of that's made by Bosniaks or Croats.
Right.
It's the law that was set by European Union. And we have European Union aspirations. You want to be part of it. And the worst thing that he does is he identified himself with the guys who commit genocide. You know, the best thing what he could do is say, okay, we have Mladic and we have Karadzic who made this genocide and who went to the tribunal and who got their sentence. So fuck them, man. You know, why would he identify himself as someone who committed the genocide? You know, and not to commit it, but to stand behind the guys who committed it. And then what he's doing is he's making actually the whole nation's responsible, the whole nation Serbs responsible for that, even if it wasn't, you know. But if you are supporting guys who did it, then I mean, he opens the student homes with the name of Mladic. It's just ridiculous. Imagine if in Munich or Berlin somebody opens a student home and calls that student home.
Yeah, no, it's
just ridiculous.
It's crazy. Like I've been reading up as much as I can on him recently, particularly with what he's been talking about. And I saw somewhere that apparently when the war ended in the 90s, his rhetoric was the complete opposite of what he's saying now. There was even a British MP.
There is
I can't remember her name. She said Dodik was a breath of fresh air for, you know, society. And
of course, there is even clips on YouTube where he was in some TV show where he literally said, why should the whole Serbian folk you know, be behind Karadzic and Mladic. They should let themselves to trial, you know, tribunal, and we shouldn't be suffering because what they did. That's what he said. And then later, he was supporting them. Like, first of all, he was asking them to surrender to the tribunal, and later he was the one who was defending them. So it's really weird. At the beginning, he was a bright future for the Serbian politics.
What would you say, in your opinion? What do you think? What do you think is the reason for that switch?
Power.
Right.
Power. That's the same thing like Izetbegovic, you know? The same shit. He's saying the same shit for over 25 years. Nobody's trusted. That's why he also lost a lot, and he's going to lose even more because it doesn't make no sense anymore. He's talking rubbish, and in my opinion, all these nationalist parties should be eliminated from political life. But the only way for Bosnia to work as a function as a normal state is to be united.
Right.
I mean, of course, you can feel like Serb or Croat or whatever, but doesn't matter. But you have to be a citizen. But you should respect, in my opinion. You know?
No, I think that's a very logical way of looking at it. I agree with that. Like, I was speaking to somebody last night / early this morning, and he seems to think another war is coming. What do you think are the possibilities of that?
No. Do you know how much money? Do you know how much money we need for one day? There's millions and millions of dollars. How are we gonna? Who is going to go to war, man? Who?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of war?
This is exactly
it's just ridiculous.
This is
we
exactly
are poor, man.
saying.
We are poor. This is just ridiculous, man.
This is exactly what I was trying to say as well. I think I'm not saying that there is no possibility of some kind of violence. That's always a possibility anywhere when there's tension. But to say war, in my opinion, I don't think that's logistically possible.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It's ridiculous, man. So that's the whole conversation about war is another political point that they're trying to get, you know? Because if everybody are scared of the war, guess who they're gonna vote for? Nationally.
Right.
You know, they're not gonna vote for somebody who's for liberals or someone who is against it. And they all say we are not for war, but if shut up, man. There's no way, because first of all, like I think like 50% of the people could go to war and are battling their own war of survival somewhere in Western Europe. Because everybody has dreams and aspirations, just like me, and hundreds of thousands others from Bosnia and Serbia and are somewhere in Europe working and getting their dreams true, and who wants to go to war. But I know who doesn't want to go to war, who is not going. Is the sons of the guys who are talking about the war. They're definitely somewhere in London, Istanbul, Moscow, you know, driving that Ferrari.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. It's all a power grab. Everything at the moment, I would say, everything's a power grab. Like what's happening right now. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
So there's no. It's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm not some specialist about politics or geopolitics. I think there is no way we will have a war because we can't fight, and we don't have money to fight. Where are we gonna get weapons? And I don't really think that it's in interest of Europe to have a war in middle of the Europe. That's just that nobody wants that.
I was about to say that as well. Like, but even though, like, for example, even though Bosnia is not in the EU, you know the amount of EU money Bosnia has received for certain different projects and whatever, but like, it's not in the interest of the EU to allow war to just break out. Like, you know how much that's flushing euros down the toilet.
Yeah, well, I can understand, in terms of geopolitics, Bosnia is interesting because you have three fractions there. You have influence of Russia through the Serbs. You have influence of America and European Union through the Bosnians and Croats. You have influence of Arabic states, through the political Sarajevo. I mean, it will always be fraction, but I think if when we survive this political crisis, it can only be better because I think they need to change the constitution and they need to work like a country without any imaginary borders. That's the only way for people to invest. The other thing that I think is nobody wants to invest in the countries that are under these political situations, and they need to fix it. They need to bring investors. They need to stop young educated people leaving the country, so we can just grow them. I think it's really ridiculous.
Because as far as I know, the last time I looked, the amount of people that leave, it's like how would I describe it? It's like a wave. Like if you look at just Sarajevo alone, just look at Sarajevo alone, the amount of people that leave even just Sarajevo alone, like I won't say doubles, but it increases year upon year, and they go elsewhere. And then I know
It's just ridiculous amount
people from smaller towns and cities, then they come to Sarajevo. And then the people from Sarajevo leave and go abroad. And then eventually some of those people also ended up leaving. And then more people from smaller towns come. It's like this wave of...
yeah, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's not even about the money. I know some people who, especially in the big cities of Bosnia, like Banja Luka and Sarajevo, who really got nice jobs, man. Right. Really, like they live really good, man. They have great jobs. They have a chance to build their careers and everything, but they choose to leave, and they didn't choose to leave because of the money or something like that. They choose to leave because of the environment. Even if you are the most beautiful flower and you grow around some bushes and some rocks, and it's not a nice environment. Everybody wants to be and live somewhere where it's stable, where you can see your future, where you can go to theater. I mean, you can go also in Bosnia, but you will be maybe person number 13.
So let's say, what are a few conditions that would, let's say, conditions that need to change in Bosnia that would maybe make somebody like yourself rethink and say, "Oh, I'm gonna move back to Bosnia"?
Corruption is number one. I will never go back to Bosnia. till the corruption reached the level like this here, you know. Because how are you going to make a state functions if the laws are not the same for you and for me? If I'm getting the ticket for the same shit that you also do, and if I need to pay something and you don't pay something, if your kid can go to the hospital and get treatment because you gave $5,000 and I didn't give, I don't have, you know. That's the thing that makes people leave. And that's the worst thing that happened to me in Boston. You know, you feel like other people are much more worth than you, even if we should be all the same, you know. But the people with the money are not the same. And that needs to change now. I'll be the first person to invest in Boston. I will open the this for other people.
No, I hear that. Like, corruption is definitely definitely an issue. When you say, because you said an interesting statement about the environment. When you say the environment, are you specifically talking about like social issues? What elements of the environment are you referring to?
Everything. From social issues to really green environment, you know. How many times did you see in Bosnia just trash around the borders? You know, we need to, everybody needs to evolve. It's 21st century, man. You can't be throwing trash just in the nature like that. Ridiculous, you know. And then social environment also. People, you know, there is so much communist spirit in people left because they think the country needs to provide for them, like it used to be, you know, communist. You know, nobody owes you shit. Nobody. You have 24 hours every day to reach your goal. And now we're coming to the point where it's really, really hard to reach it, even if you understand it, if you have corruption. Because even if you set to success, even if you motivate yourself and try to make everything by yourself, at the end of the day, if person X comes and gives 10,000 euros to someone, he's going to get a job. And that's what happens is we have in our institution people who are incapable to work on this position. They are not. They are there because somebody called and somebody paid so they can sit in this position. And they can't do the job, you know. They're not qualified for that. And now imagine if you have on the state level from, let's say, 100 people, 80 of them are working the basic stuff, and when they need to talk to someone and discuss business on the other side of the country or in Europe, somewhere else, nobody will make a business with them because everybody sees their fault. They're not educated on the situation, and even if they do business with them, the conditions are not going to be set fair, because I will use you and get this business done that benefits me and not you, and you're not even going to realize because you are not qualified.
You made two.
And that's how we lose money on the state level.
You made two great points actually. One, I think it's the best way that I've heard it put. You said about the communist spirit, because I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I was saying, from my perspective, that I noticed that even though technically, I mean, it's not a communist state or a socialist state anymore, people still think in that way, though.
Yeah.
Like the society still thinks in that kind of communist socialist mindset. Even
Yeah,
though,
because they can't do they can't do this switch. You have to understand that we used to live in Yugoslavia for like 50 years almost, and yeah, more than 50. And our transition from communist to capitalist was not like in other countries.
yeah, it wasn't
No.
smooth.
We had just war, and after the war we had democracy and capitalism. And the first people who figured it out, they're rich. They are extremely rich, you know that.
Yeah.
And the other one, that's why they all praise Tito. And they always will. You know how many people in ex-Yugoslavian republics are praising because Tito gave jobs. It's the communist way of thinking. You know? The state is should not provide you jobs. I mean, some of them, of course, if you work for the state, police, whatever. But the state should provide good condition for the investors to open the companies so you can work. Okay? And you can get, state should allow you to get your degree so you can work in this and this field and this and that. But not like this. You know, and I heard so many people saying, well, Tito made the fabrics and everything. He gave us job, and that's why it is. You need to leave this behind, and you need to start thinking. In new age, you need to start thinking about capitalism. Even if capitalism is also not the greatest stuff that ever invented, but it's here. You know, we have to live it, so we have to adjust.
No, I 100% agree with that. Like, because this is something like, especially now, it's like a hot topic of capitalism. You have, especially, you see a lot of people in the UK and the US, a lot of Western countries actually, in general, talking about, basically saying that UK, US, Western countries in general should adopt communism. And it's like, first of all, a lot of people saying this have never lived in that system.
Yeah.
So it's all theoretical. And from everything that I thought about, from what I can, unless you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only successful country under communism that I can think of was Yugoslavia. And that's basically because...
You know what's the reason for that? Because Yugoslavia was not fully communist. We had socialism.
Social, yeah, right.
Which is totally different. So in Russia, it was, you know, straight communism. In Yugoslavia, you also wear jeans, you travel, you know, live this. You can live this Western way of life, you know, and you could also have rock and roll and smoke weed, and you know, you could do a lot of things that people in communist countries. But the skeleton was communist. You had one party, you had one leader, you had, you know.
Right. So all right. So essentially, what you're saying, like the slight variant of socialism versus capitalism,
like a liberal communist. That's okay. Some kind of thing.
All right, that makes sense. But also, even with that, would it be fair to say that it needed somebody like Tito to make it work? Or,
well, maybe because in that situation after the Second World War, where so many people died, we needed a person like who just organized everything like he did, and it was functional, man. I mean, Yugoslavia was much more forward like than countries now, the ex-Yugoslav countries now.
Yeah, do you know actually? Because when you speak to like older generations of people in the UK, like I don't know, you say, oh, you, they're not certain of, oh, they might not be sure about where Macedonia is or Slovenia or whatever. But when
But
you
when you
say
say Yugoslavia,
when you say Yugoslavia, they're like, yeah, I remember
yeah,
Yugoslavia. And then when you say, instead of saying, when you say like the cities or towns, especially on the coast or like capital Sarajevo, Belgrade, or anywhere like that's touristic to a certain degree, they know it. They're like,
yeah,
yeah, I've been there. I went to that. I used to go there for holidays. Like they know it when you start breaking it down into cities. But when you say, and because they remember it as Yugoslavia, and actually, in fact, I don't know if you know this. I only found this out like a few weeks ago, actually. But uh, was during, I guess, like late 80s to the beginning of the 90s. Um, the number two, the second, I think it was first for a little bit, but it used to go number two, and then number one. It was always in the top two holiday destination places for British travelers was Yugoslavia.
really,
Yeah,
yeah, probably the coast of Croatia.
yeah. Because basically what it was, there was I can't remember the name of this company, but there was a tourist agent. It was a Yugoslav tourist agent company, and they had a few offices in the UK. Like one in Manchester, they had one in in London, and but they organized tours to not just Yugoslavia, like Spain and loads of other countries. So it was Spain at first, and I think like Yugoslavia was like somewhere in the top five, but Spain was the number one. But then what was happening is like Spanish locations were getting like booked up so quickly. This agency, I can't remember the name, but I'll send you when I remember the name. But this agency, what they used to do is when all the Spanish locations were booked up, and people were like, oh damn, we can't go to Spain this year. They'd be like, oh yeah, but have you heard of this place? And they'd suggest a city in Yugoslavia, and they're like, they see the brochure, and they're like, oh, it's sunny, it's nice, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, yeah,
So the word started spreading, like, oh, you can go to this place, it's sunny, and blah, and it's so like people started going because they're like, well, we're getting nice weather, we're getting the same thing,
nice
but
food,
and it's cheaper. So
beautiful
like,
service. Yeah,
it just ended up being like the number one, number two. Like it moved Spain, it dropped to like number two at a certain point, and I believe at a certain point it was like the number one tourist destination for.
yeah, but that proves my point that communism in Yugoslavia was not that hard on people. It's more liberal and socialist, so that people can come and enjoy the holidays from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, okay. So yeah, it wasn't a Soviet Union type of
No,
situation.
most definitely not.
Fair enough. That's a valid point. Um, Talking of um music, I remember you mentioned you might be working on some musical projects. Is there anything that you're going to be working on coming up?
Well, maybe because I'm in contact with Magic Sonem almost every day, and he's getting his album done, and he's got really some great singles that he's going to put out. And we were thinking just for the for the this joy that we had before to connect again and work together. And I'm also planning with my brother to open an office here in Germany to make a video production studio and designer studio. So I'm waiting for him to settle down, And yeah, why not, man? So I would also like to shoot again. You know? And I have through the years, you know, I had so many ideas. How should I? Now it's totally different. Now we are not that young. You know, the passion is still here, and now thanks to God, we buy so much better. Actually, make it another life.
No, I think that's actually a good idea, man. Because like the project that I'm working on now, there's a couple of songs actually that I wrote years ago. A few of them, there's even one or two. I think even maybe it was just after we stopped living together in Sarajevo, and I just never recorded them. And I went through the books, and I was like, changed some things here and there or whatever. And maybe it's just I don't know what to call it, but there's a couple of songs where I'm glad I actually didn't record them at the time and I recorded them. When I've wrote them now, I'm like, this came out way better than it would have if I had done it back then. Of course, yeah.
Like you're older now. You've been through some stuff and actually express yourself better than you used to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. So there's some potential projects for us to possibly look out for.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. Yeah, we can shoot it here. We can shoot it in Britain, or you know, we can go a little bit Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, and do it there.
You just reminded me of do you remember the original concept that we were going to do for the
Balkan Beauty? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I remember thinking, oh yeah, you know what
too bad it didn't happen.
Yeah, do you know what? That was it was a really it was a good learning process for me for like how the business works. Because I was in talks with so many different labels and management companies and this and that, and they all had their ideas, but I don't know. It felt, to be honest with you, it felt like talking to a brick wall. Because I'm saying, yeah, this is what I want to do, and they're just saying, yeah. And they give the plan, and it's like, this is nothing. It's not even close to what I said. Yeah, like so it was. Yeah, it was a good look. The most extreme situation was this guy from Sony. He wasn't even part of like the people who was meant to be part of the team helping me, but he was like advising, I guess. He had like an advisory role. He advised the guy who was actually trying to put everything together with this label in Croatia. And he came up with this idea of taking me off the song altogether. He was like, yeah.
From your song?
Yeah. He was like, what if we take him off the song and we get a girl to do what? And like get a girl to sing the lyrics. He was like, oh, and I was like, no.
But it doesn't make sense because the song is made like, you know, you're a guy
from a male's perspective. Yeah. But his idea was like something like, do you remember this group? Like in the I think they were Russian and they were pretending to be like lesbians or something. It turns out they're not. What they called? They were a pop group.
They went to the Euro song, right?
Yeah. And the whole marketing thing was they were lesbians and whatever. But they turns out that they're not actually. But his idea was something similar to that. Like, and I was like, no, that was not. Like, it's so far from. That's so far from what the point. It's just meant to be.
What was the name?
Yeah. I'm really trying to.
It's just the song. All the things you said. All the things.
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
That's the one.
I can't remember.
Something like tattoo or something like that.
Tattoo. It might be. You know.
Or?
That sounds
really.
That sounds like it. Taboo.
Really?
I think it's taboo. Yeah. Taboo. I believe so. Taboo.
Okay.
Yeah. Taboo.
Yeah. Anyway, start with T. I remember it.
Yeah. It was Taboo. I
Maybe.
believe it's
I
Taboo.
don't know.
I'm like 90% sure they were called Taboo. But yeah, basically his idea was something like Taboo. Like,
Well, is he nuts?
and I was like, first of all, I don't know. I don't know what your opinion is, but I don't think that will work for a Balkan audience. I don't know. Would you, in your opinion,
No,
do you
but
think?
no, fuck the Balkan audience.
But even
What do you have from that? You don't get exposure. You don't. What do you get?
yeah, that's
Okay, you will get money for the author of the song, you know.
That's what you would.
But like what?
That was my exact thing. I was like, yeah. He said, oh yeah, but you're still gonna get writing credits. You're still gonna get this and that. So I'm like, so somebody else is gonna do my song and record the song, and I was like, nah.
You're just gonna be ghostwriting, right?
Basically, yeah. And the kind of the spoken the spoken deal we had, which we never actually signed, was like something like 30,000 euros up front, and 30,000 euros up front, and then we keep 15% of the record between me and the guy who was facilitating the deal. So that's 50% divided by 2. Yeah.
So that's 7.5.
Yeah.
That's a bad deal, bro.
You know what I mean? And I could have easily said, yeah. Because don't get me wrong, at that moment in time, would 30,000 euros have helped me? Of course. But the way that I looked at it, that's short-term thinking. They're going to own the record for 10 years. For 10 years.
Yeah, because, when you sign the first deal, normally you get from 10 to 15%. Normally. Like, it depends on the artist, how good he is. So from 10 to 7.5%, it's not that good. It's not that. It's really not that. I would never do that one. So imagine if you had like 100,000 streamings, you get how much? 7K, 7,500. What's that? That's nothing.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, don't worry, leave it out. Forget about it. But yeah, man. Ideas. I'm not too worried because ideas come and go. It's always the execution. It was a lesson. Like, you can have a great idea, but the execution is the main thing.
The problem is everybody wants to eat out of your idea,
Right.
you know. And just because they have money gives them this advantage that they can get people who have great ideas and expose them and then live next 10 years or 15 or 20 years from this artist. And that's kind of fucked up. And I don't even know why people need label right now. Why artists need label now? Because now you can set everything alone. Especially with this social media stuff, and you can have direct interact with your fans. Of course, it's the platform that they offer, and TVs and shows and everything. It's big, but what is it meant for you if you get 7.5%?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like you're gonna have the fame, but you can't even offer yourself a nice car. Like just
Yeah, and there's sometimes there's even more extreme situations. Like, I don't know, like TLC. I remember when TLC won the Grammy in, I can't remember what year it was, but I remember seeing it on TV, and they were like, so how do you feel about winning the Grammy? And it wasn't Left Eye, I think it was T-Bars said, how do we feel? We're broke. They were like, what? Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we're broke. Like, anybody who knows our situation knows that we're broke. Yeah, we've sold millions of records, but we're broke.
Yeah. And that's why I really think that major labels are gonna die in next 5-10 years. Or if they change their politics,
Right.
maybe they're going to stay, but nobody would sign to anyone, because even what the labels are doing right now, it's if they let's say you have a record and they tell you, okay, Smooth, so we're gonna give you £100,000, so you can shoot the video, blah blah blah. But when you start to get these clicks, when you start earning money, you're gonna give this 100,000 back. So it's like a credit, and the only thing that you're gonna earn is this 7.5, 8, 10% from the whole project. So you end up doing great video that you actually made. So they only owe you money. So they only
Yeah, like
I'm getting my word. So you just the money that you get, you need to get back.
yeah, you're basically in debt.
Yeah.
In debt to them, yeah.
So as soon as you sign, you are in debt.
Yeah.
You're 100K in debt. So the problem is you have to 100% be sure that what you are doing is going to blow up. Because if it doesn't, you're going to be 100K in debt and you're going to go to the court because they want their money back. That's the only way they sign deals. And even if you blew up and even if you start getting this money and clicks and everything, you don't have actually a lot of money. And of course, if you are then booking shows, the whole management team needs to earn something from that because they are funding you shows. So they are in contact with the clubs and discos and everything. So you're not getting a lot of money. That's why the best thing is to set up your label. And it's much better to sell 10,000 copies and own 100% of the right than to sell a million copies and get like 3% of the deal.
That's a perfect point actually, because I remember a few years ago looking at they were looking at the stats for the urban music in the UK, so that's hip hop, R&B, I guess grime and garage, and they were looking at who was the highest selling artist in the last decade, and it was surprising at first when I saw, but then it made sense. It's a guy called Roots Maneuver, who's an old school UK hip hop guy, and people are like, Roots Maneuver, he's never had a #1 record. He's been in the top 10 in the UK a few times, but he's never, he's not, let's say, commercial, global, like he's not, I don't know, Tiny Temper or somebody like that.
He's not mainstream like that.
Yeah, he's not mainstream, right? You go to America and say Roots Maneuver. But if you say Skepta, people know who you're talking about. He's not that. So people are like, how has he been the highest earning artist in the last decade? But when you look at the stats, because he consistently, he's not selling millions every year, but he's consistently selling like hundreds of thousands every year. So over 10 years, some people sell, they blow up, they have a great 2 years or something. And then it's whatever. But for 10 years, boom, every year. He's doing shows. He did a show in Croatia actually in 2012 or something like that. But yeah. And I don't know where it was, somewhere in Croatia. But but basically for 10 years he's been earning. Yeah, he's not the highest earner of that year, but over 10 years.
Yeah.
So
that's why I don't know if you look if you watch the breakfast interview, Soulja Boy, greatest breakfast interview ever, and you remember his Tiger, Tiger who had the biggest comeback of the year, and Tiger was posting stats, Spotify stats, and his numbers were much more bigger than Soulja Boy. But then Soulja Boy said the same thing. He said, "I own my shit." So I'm not signed to record labels. So if he's got 100K streams and I have 25, I earn more money than he did because he needs to earn money for his record label, for the marketing, for the beats, for everything, for the music videos, for everything. And I own my shit. So that's how Soulja Boy had better come back than Tiger. Tiger!
Yeah, man. No, exactly. That's exactly perfectly it. In closing, let me say, let's touch on what are your what are your what are your views on the hip hop scene in the Balkans, like currently?
There is none.
I know. I think I know where you're going with that, because I said maybe it was. I think I had this conversation with you before. I believe even a couple of years ago. But elaborate on that. When you say there is none, what do you mean by that?
Well, who is the greatest?
Hmm?
You remember back then, we used to have in Bosnia, we used to have FNJ.
Hmm.
Okay, doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it exists, but without Edo Micah, it's just Frankie and I mean, other guys are also okay, but it's not the FNJ like it used to. It's not the jam. Serbia had Basivity. God,
Okay.
where is Rexona? It's not active. Ikats, not active. Struka, not active. And so many other guys that were relevant back then are just not doing it anymore. Croatia also. Tell me two rappers from Croatia, right?
Two rappers from Croatia.
Yeah.
Ton Toro. You know Ton Toro?
Who is that?
You heard of him? He raps in English.
Yeah.
He raps in English, but he's definitely in the Croatian scene. But you should definitely check out his music, man. It's very
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not. Even if they exist, it's not mainstream like it used to.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. So when you say there's no scene, you mean because there are artists doing things, yeah? There are artists doing things. Would you say that?
But definitely not on that level. Like it's way. It's way because they didn't evolve. They just didn't evolve.
Who are you talking about?
They didn't. Yeah, well, I think that the rappers on the scene that used to be that strong, they didn't provide a good platform for the new rappers. You know, they wanted to hold the monopoly for themselves. They didn't promote other people, you know, like you have in other European countries or America. You know, they always bring new artists.
Right, so I think
especially in America.
I think this is what I'm getting to. So you're saying, in order for it to be a scene, if I'm correct, it needs to be there needs to be more unity, essentially. Like,
well, it doesn't have to be.
No, when I say unity, I mean like a scene, like, you know, passing on a mantle, bringing in new people.
Of course. So if you are a Dr. Dre and you made beats from for Tupac, and now you are making for, I don't know, The Game, Eminem, and that's like 15, 20, 25 years period. He always brought new artists who was working with and, you know, giving them platform to bring it up. And he was also earning money. But the problem with the scene in the Bosnia is that I not in Bosnia, but the whole Balkan, just my opinion, that they didn't provide as much space for other people because they think they're gonna probably lose the money that they were getting. But it's totally bullshit, because if Dr. Dre made money with Tupac, and then with Eminem, and then with 50 Cent, you know what I'm getting to. Like, sign the artist, man. Give him platform. Take your cut. And what's happened? As soon as they're not relevant anymore, they're gone, and the scene is gone. And now you have another level of music.
Are there any artists
mainstream over there?
Are there any artists that you listen to now currently?
From Balkans?
Yeah.
No. No, because that music it's not from my ears, man. It's evolved to something totally different. It's evolved to turbo folk 2022, in the rap style, but it's not rap. It's same shit like this.
All right. Well, in closing, do you have anything that we should look out for that you're gonna be working on, or where can people find you if they want to hit you up?
Me personally. Well, I think we're gonna start work in summer, maybe late summer, because I think Sona is going to Germany about. So we're gonna be like 50, 80 kilometers from each other, then and watch stuff.
Will you be picking up the mic at any point?
No.
No. I checked the other day. The song you did over the DJ Fuja beat.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
with Malta.
Yeah. I was listening to that. Yeah. I didn't because I only realized that it's the Magic Sonic does the chorus of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, also, what happened to that video? I looked for that video that you did for him. I think it was his first.
Well, everybody's asking me.
He's showing respect to the guys who came before. It's called Magic Sonic, right?
Yeah.
What happened to that video?
It's on.
Yeah. I tried to search it. I couldn't find it.
The other video is gone. That one with Tropez and Prick.
Wait, that video's gone.
Yeah, that video's gone. Video's gone, and it's really weird. Well, look at this. Well, we first made a song and we shot a video, and we uploaded it on YouTube. Okay, so Croatia Records came like 2 weeks later, and they signed Magic, and they took this song as a single.
Okay.
And they included it in some summer hits collection that they released under Croatian record. And so a month ago, I did not. The Kemo, the good friend of mine, Kemo was searching for the song for the video and he couldn't find it. So text like, hey man, what's with the video? And I was like, I have no idea. It's on YouTube. Like it has like 200,000-300,000 views. It's not like it didn't blow up like that, but it was okay. And so I messaged Priki, and Priki told me that YouTube shut the video down because Croatia Records is owning rights to this song. So they thought somebody took the song that Croatia Records released and made a video and put it on some third channel, so they just crush it down, man. They just take it out because it was not monetized.
Was it uploaded to one of your old YouTube channels, or
it was uploaded to Pricky's channel?
So you didn't try to.
It was not uploaded to Croatian Record channel.
Right. Yeah. So did he try to dispute that claim, or he just left it?
Yeah, he did try. They just told him that the audio was the problem, not the video.
Right. Yeah.
So that video is okay. You own the blah blah blah, but the audio owns Croatia Record. So they just shut us down, man. So there is no video right now.
Okay, fair enough.
What do you think about Djokovic?
Oh, the Djokovic situation.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
In what way?
I understand the upset of him not being able to play. Me personally, if I was on the board, I wouldn't have made the rule that all players have to be vaccinated, but I'm not on the board. That was the rule. I don't know. I just, like, the way that I've seen a lot of posts talking about, like he's being abused essentially. And I know all players, he knew the rules ahead of time. It's not like they just made up this rule out of nowhere. They had this rule. So it's either you want to play, cool, get the vaccination. You don't want to play, and you stick to not being vaccinated. Okay, that's cool. Either way, like for me, I don't have an issue with being vaccinated or not being vaccinated. My issue is you knew what the rule was. So I don't understand what the outrage is, actually. All players had to go through the same thing. So, I don't know. I've seen people talking about, oh yeah, but he gave money to,
well, it doesn't matter, man.
Like COVID-19. What's that got to do?
I like Novak. Novak is my favorite tennis player, The only thing that I think he made a mistake is, he could came out as a winner in this situation. Okay, when they said you have to be vaccinated to play in the tournament, he as an anti-vax.
Is he anti-vax though, or is it just that he just doesn't want to take the COVID vaccination?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to Novak, but let's say he doesn't want to take the COVID vaccine. He could say, okay, people, I'm giving the statement today. Me, Novak Djokovic, I doesn't want to take COVID vaccine, and if that makes me skip this tournament, then it's okay. I'm going to skip this tournament. I'm not going to play. I will pack my bags and I'm going to home. Because if you have your point of view, then stick to it. Stick to it.
Yeah.
Go publicly, and I will respect. I know some people that doesn't want to vaccine here in Germany, and I respect them because they said, okay, if I'm not allowed to go to restaurant, I'm not going to get myself a fake QR code that I'm vaccinated. I don't want to vaccinate because I don't support this, and I stand behind my word, and I will just don't go to the restaurant. But you can't really be quiet and don't say anything and just wait till they, close the case so you can play. He should just come and say, am I not allowed to play because I'm not vaccinated? Okay, then bye. This is my point of view. I don't want to get vaccinated and I'm not going to play.
Did he get a fake? So, did he get a fake certification of vaccination?
Well, they said he got a fake certificate that he survived.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem. I don't have anything against the people who don't vaccinate. It's your choice, But at least then stand behind your point of view, stand behind your decision, and that's how you fight against the vaccine if you fight. Yeah, it's like a vegan people, who don't eat meat, but then he eats something in shape of it, or with a little bit of.
I've always found that interesting, actually. Maybe there is some validity to it, but I find it interesting, like, the meat replacements look like meat often.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man.
It's like, so you don't want to eat meat, and I respect it. Don't get me wrong, I respect it. Like,
yeah.
I would love to be in a thing where I'm like, environment and animal cruelty and all that, great. But I'm honest enough with myself to know at this moment in time, I can't do that. I know at this moment in time. So, like, you're not going to eat meat, but you're going to have something that looks like meat and you're going to make it taste as close as you can to that meat. So, I don't know.
Maybe I didn't even give a good example. I think that the Novak situation, it's like you are against corruption, But if your mama is sick, you are going to give a doctor £10,000 to get your mama on the surgery before my mama. It's like, can't pay. You get me? So you're publicly against corruption, but when it comes to your family, you will give a doctor money to take your mama, first.
Yeah, but
and somebody else mama is going to die because he can't.
But also, I didn't know about the fake certification of surviving COVID. If that's the case,
well, I also don't know if it's fake. I cannot, say it's fake, but they said it's fake.
Okay, if it
and
is
that's
fake,
why, that's why they asked questions to father of Novak and mother, because if he had, let's say, December 12th COVID, why is he December 15th so in the shopping mall? Doing shopping, and then he should be in quarantine. And the other thing is, to be fair to Novak, it's also political. They want, with this Novak case, send the message that you need to get vaccinated, and even if you are big and powerful and the best player in the world like Novak, you cannot fight against the system. I think that was the message that they tried to send. But let's be honest, like they could test Novak every day.
That's true. That's true.
They could test the Novak every day 5 times. He would say okay, and he would play tennis. But there is some fault of Novak also, but there is a much bigger politic message.
Yeah, I didn't think about that part of it. When you put it like that, it is very political, because literally they could test him every day, as you say.
Of course they do.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, if they have a law that everybody in Australia needs to get vaccinated, well, it's okay. He doesn't live in Australia. He came to play.
Yeah, Australia's kind of, when it comes to their borders, they're kind of intense anyway. Like I
mean, since we don't have any, we don't have a lot of Australians in Balkans, I think we should deport all the kangaroos to the zoo. We should leave koalas. Koalas are cute, but kangaroos we should deport.
Australians. There's a show, we have it in UK, and there's an Australian version called Border Force, where they show people at the airport trying to get in, like, usually for touristic reasons. But the Australian, like, even just to get a visa, even for me to get a visa, like I assumed because of the connection with the UK that it would be easier for me, but
yeah, definitely.
They don't care. Like, you need to have this, and that, and then you get there and they interview you, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Like, so even without COVID, they're really strict with who comes into Australia.
Yeah, but look, Novak is like he's last 15 years he's traveled. He has a team of the people who made the paperwork for this Australian visa. Every time he goes over there, that's like 50 years.
That's true.
It's just, these are not some people who are doing that for the first time. They're doing it every year, so many times for the world's #1 tennis player. So it's just ridiculous that they didn't have all the people. You get me?
No, it's true.
How?
It's true. That's
their job.
No, it's true. The reason why I said like it's ultimately ridiculous in the end is that I just think in his position, knowing that he wasn't vaccinated, you can't be surprised they were going to pull this. Like, surely you knew. Yeah,
of course. That's his mistake. Of course he knew. Come on, man. I mean, even when I'm going to meet my friend Milos in Serbia, I look what are the conditions over there and try to test on the border so I can come. And I'm nobody. Right. In comparing to Novak. Of course he knew.
Yeah. All right. So yeah.
Fair enough.
There it is. All right, man. I think it's always a pleasure to catch up. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to seeing what you and Magic put out. And
it's going to be.
yeah, man, I've sent you a few tracks that are not finished mixing, but I sent you.
Okay.
I've sent you I sent you what was the last one I sent you? True Colors, yeah. But they get
that was sick.
So I should have the master. Should be mastered by the end of this month. So yeah, I'll send you the finished version.
Send me definitely.
Yeah, you can.
And also thank you for this great conversation. Yeah, it's always a pleasure, man.
All right, man. Anything you want to add to the audience before we vamos?
Stay positive. Stay positive. Your life is not going to be positive if you have bad thoughts. Be progressive. Look for yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Sure. True colors, whether it's dark or light, they see your true colors. The black and white, they ain't even true colors.